14A District Court, County of Washington, State of Michigan is now in session. All those having business with the court are near. The Honorable Judge Simpson presiding.
You may be seated.
There's the reason. I'm up again.
What?
Apparently I'm up again.
Yes, you are. You're getting good at this.
At this point, the Washington County Prosecutor's Office moves to waive any potential conflict that may exist between the Office of the Public Defender and Your Honor and this honorable court. We do not believe there is such a conflict, but if one were to arise, we would waive it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I never get out.
I know.
Like the understudy happened a lot. Mike Gandy, Assistant Public Defender, on behalf of the Public Defender's Office, we likewise acknowledge that there is, we don't believe there's any conflicts in this matter, but to the extent that one may exist, we certainly waive it for the reasons that I'm saying this. Thank you.
And the court, for its part, does not believe there's a conflict either under Michigan court rules or the cases decided hereunder. To the extent a conflict does exist, given the waivers, the court will consent to hear the matters. Mr. Simon?
I don't think there's a conflict either.
I was just gonna say good morning.
Good
Whatever. Court does call the case of the People versus Zihan Zhao.
Alexander, on behalf of the people, Your Honor.
And Your Honor, Joe Simon, on behalf of Mr. Zhou. Mr. Zhou, when you get here, state your name.
I'm Zihan Zhou.
And Your Honor, the people and I are asking if the court would return this to the PCC docket, a resolution.
I don't go backward.
If he-
Who thought of this? Who's on this?
May we approach?
Oh, so like I can change my mind?
No.
No,
I'll do whatever the court wants,
I know.
but may we approach so I can answer the court's question?
Yes,
Thank you.
Alan, watch here.
Recording in progress.
All right. Court does not like to return to a PCC, but I will send this back to a probable cause conference. Without stating them on the record, there are compelling reasons to do so. So I'll set the probable cause conference for March 13th, 2025, 9 a.m.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Simon, I'll do whatever the court wants, man. Then next time, move on. Yeah, I'm talking about you, Simon. Never mind. Are you leaving?
I'm going next door.
Oh, well, have fun. Need to have a better attitude. Why are you pointing at me? I have a great attitude. Just wait. Court calls the case, People versus Matthew Gringus.
Mr. Craig, on behalf of the people, Your Honor.
I put an R in there and it doesn't belong.
Morning, Judge Jeffrey Abboud on behalf of Matthew Gingras, who is approaching to my right, and also is my associate Angela Kaminsky.
United States State time set for the preliminary examination. At this time, the people are unable to proceed.
You are ready to?
Are unable.
Unable.
Sorry.
We would ask the court to dismiss the matter, Judge.
People being unable to proceed. This case is dismissed. That is without prejudice on defendant's motion. Court calls the case, People versus Ozell Hyman.
Alexander, on behalf of the people, Your Honor.
Oh, what is? Why is Constantino?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Michael Gaddy, Assistant Public Defender, on behalf of Mr. Haman, Your Honor, who's here to my right. State your name, sir.
Ozell Hyman.
In our today's time set for preliminary examination. At this time, in case 25 FB 007, people are unable to one, it would ask the court to remand. Two, and in case 25 FB 36, the people are unable to suggest count one, it would ask the court to remand. 2 and 3.
All right, starting with case 1007. Count one is dismissed. People being unable to proceed on that case. The defendant's not guilty plea will continue. As to count two, so will be set for a pretrial in 14B District Court on
March 17th for Judge Washington.
March 17th,
Yes.
March 17th, 2025, 9 a.m. before Judge Washington. And on the other matter, people being unable to proceed on count one, that case is dismissed. Defendant's not guilty plea as to counts 2 and 3 will continue. I'll set this for a pretrial on
That's March,
Sing. Go ahead, Sing.
March 27th.
March 27th, 2025, 9 a.m. before Judge Washington.
Thank you. If I could be heard on bond.
May.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Hyman is here today. He was out on bond. Just procedurally, he was out on bond. He was arrested. There was a conditional violation. He's been in jail since. He is. There may be a concern about him returning to the place where he was alleged to have committed the assault. The assaultive actions. He reports that he can stay with his father in Inkster, and I can provide that address to the court. Father was going to be here. I don't see him. I did check in the hall. Also, Your Honor, if there's a concern about alcohol, I would ask the court to allow him to have a sober link to monitor him or any other conditions that the court deems appropriate. Reporting to the CCOP program would certainly be something that would likely ensure that he does not use any substances or alcohol, and would also allow him to demonstrate to the court that he is serious about any recovery that he does need. But I would ask the court to consider releasing him with those conditions and any conditions the court deems necessary to ensure that there is no conflict or any, and to ensure his appearance in court as required on the 17th and 27th.
But he violated.
Okay. Oh, and I'm sorry, his father did just walk in.
Yes, I see. But he violated his bond condition when he was released.
Yes, Judge.
Before.
Yes, Your Honor. That's why I'd asked that he be allowed to engage in the CCOP program, and there are means of making sure that of monitoring any alcohol use. Well, there's testing for drugs, but there's instant ways of sober link, or if the court deems necessary, a tether.
Your Honor, I would also have concerns given that alcohol was played a part in the original case with the DV, and that he did get the new bond violation while I picked up a new case. I would also have concerns. I'm not sure if the weapons had been forfeited or turned in, given the facts of the first case, the DV, in which it was alleged that he had a shotgun and threatened the victim with it. Discussion.
On both of these, at this juncture, you can certainly raise this before Judge Washington. I'm going to deny the defendant's request to reduce his bond. His bond in each matter will continue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Court calls the case People versus Casey O'Neill.
And good morning, Your Honor. For the record, Orlando Simone, Student Legal Services, on behalf and with Miss O'Neill, who stands to my right.
Good morning, Your Honor. Please, the court. Richard Cunningham, page 29735, Assistant Attorney General on behalf of the people.
Good morning. All right. What are we doing?
And good morning, Your Honor. This time, spoken with Mr. Cunningham, we've reached a resolution in this matter. We'd be waiving the preliminary exam, obviously be holding that. My client would be entering a plea to count 3, and it's our understanding that people will be dismissing counts 1 and 2. Advise my client that this court would not be the sentencing court.
I'm not gonna take a felony plea either, unless it's an exceptional circumstance.
May we approach briefly?
You can approach, it's not gonna change, but go ahead, come on.
So we'll have to go to circuit to do the plea. Circuit. Judge Simpson says he doesn't matter.
All right. So the defendant, the understanding of the plea agreement is that she's gonna be pleading to count 3 in circuit court after the waiver and bind over. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor. Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor, that is correct.
All right. Ma'am, you're waiving your right to have a preliminary examination?
Yes, Your Honor.
You understand that a preliminary examination is a proceeding where the people would have to show high probable cause that the offenses alleged were committed and that you committed them.
Yes, Your Honor.
You understand you'll not have that hearing and you'll proceed to circuit court for further resolution.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. People also waive their right.
Yes, Your Honor.
Preliminary examination having been waived, defendant is bound over to circuit court on the 3 counts. You waive formal reading, the information,
We do, Your Honor. Thank
and
you.
at this time your client stands mute.
Indeed.
Defendant having waived formal reading, standing mute, court will enter a not guilty plea as to all counts. Pretrial in this matter will be set for
May 7th at 1:30 before Judge Conlon.
May 7th, 2025, 1:30 before Judge Conlon.
Very good. Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Thank you. Bond will continue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Good seeing you, sir. Yes, I said that out loud. Yeah. Okay.
We'll be cautious with Mr. Patel next.
Court does call the case of the people versus Emerson Wilson.
And
Two
then
cases.
after people, Your Honor.
Good morning. On behalf of Emerson in both matters. 1412 and
Vice Right.
0116.
Your name, sir?
Emerson Antonio Wilson.
And Your Honor, today's the date of the preliminary examination. As to case number 24FB 1412, the people are unable to proceed as to 1, 2, and 3. It would ask the court to remand on counts 5 and 6.
5 and 6.
And, oh, 4, 5, and 6, sorry, Your Honor. And then as to case 25F20116, my understanding the defendant will be pleading to an added count 2 of obstructing.
Yes, the plea form that I have in front of me indicates that the defendant would be pleading to attempted resisting and obstructing. And that's a no contest plea. Upon a successful plea to that charge, count 1 would be dismissed.
That's our understanding, Your Honor. I would ask that in 1412 that those matters be dismissed. Understand the court would remand.
Running to 1, 2, and 3. Yes, so starting in case 1412, 1, 2, and 3 are dismissed, the people being unable to proceed. The defendant will maintain his not guilty plea to counts 4, 5, and 6. And those will be remanded back down to the 14B District Court. I will set a pretrial date on that matter for
March 17th at 9 a.m. before Judge Washington.
March 17, 2025, 9 a.m. That is before Judge Washington.
And Your Honor, regarding bond in that case, if I could address that.
Yes, go ahead.
Just regarding that, he currently has a $25,000 cash or surety. Certainly with the 3 felonies being dismissed, I'm asking for a reduction of bond. I do understand that there is a hold out of another county. However, I'm asking for a reduction at least.
What's the hold for? What's the hold for?
There are 3 felony counts regarding firearms.
Out of what county?
Wayne County. So I understand if he were to potentially be released from here, they would pick him up.
They would take him there to face those, so.
But as he's resolving those out there, certainly a lower bond here, if at some point he'd be able to post, it would towards his advantage.
Well, all of that's not going to occur in the next 2 weeks, is it?
Yeah. Well, he certainly has to get arraigned out there.
He's not even been arraigned on those.
I don't believe he's been arraigned.
They're warrants, outstanding warrants.
Yes.
All right.
Your Honor, that says bond remain the same. I have that 4 bench warrants for, I think, child support. Then I have the bond denied hold out of Dearborn Heights for the firearms charges. And then I also have another hold out at Canton for obstruction of police officers. And I think that is at $452 is the bond on that one. So that's that bond remain the same at this point.
All right. In this case, I'm going to deny the request for a bond reduction. I'll have his bond continued. Certainly get a clearer picture. And Judge Washington will be more than happy to handle that. Okay. So in the other matter, he's going to plead no contest.
There'll be a no contest.
Basis contest plea.
Lack of memory.
All right. May I have the defendant sworn?
Right. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
State your name.
Emerson Antonio Wilson.
Sir, it is this court's understanding that you're going to plead no contest to the charge of attempted resisting and obstructing a police officer. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, that is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 1 year incarceration or $1,000 fine plus court costs. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Do you understand what a no contest plea is?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
All right. 2 things about it I have to make sure that you understand. The first thing you need to understand is that it means that you're not further desirous or wanting to contest this charge. You understand that?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
The second thing you need to understand is that for purposes of sentencing, the court will treat you the same as though you had pled guilty. You understand that?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
I also need to advise you that while I'm taking your plea, I would not be your sentencing judge, and you would be sentenced before Judge Barr in the 14A2 District Court. You understand that?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Understanding all of that, do you still wish to plead?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
You still wish to plead, I'm sorry.
Yes.
And to that charge, how do you plead?
No contest.
Now, you understand that by pleading no contest, you will not have a trial of any kind.
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
You signed an advice of rights form, is that correct?
Yes, that's
Any questions regarding any of the rights contained on that?
No, sir.
Look at paragraph 5. You'll see a copy on the podium. Those are your rights which are part of a trial. You understand that by pleading no contest, you're giving up those rights as well as all the rights of it.
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
You understand you're giving up your right to appeal of right.
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Are you on probation or parole?
No, sir.
Has anybody promised you anything other than what's been stated here today on the record to get you to plead?
No, sir.
Anybody threaten you or coerce you?
No, sir.
You're doing this voluntarily
Yes. Yes, Your Honor.
and of your own free will.
Yes, Your Honor.
The court has been provided and has reviewed Washington County Sheriff's Office report for their case number 256174. Any objection to the court having reviewed that report?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Based upon a review of that report, the court does find that there's a sufficient factual basis in which the court could determine the defendant's guilt. Counsel, have I complied with the court?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Court will accept the defendant's plea of no contest to count 2. Count 1 is dismissed. Pre-sentence investigation and report is ordered at 14A2 probation. Sentencing will be
March 11th at 11 a.m. before Judge Barr.
March 11, 2025, 11 a.m. before Judge Barr. Likewise, in this matter, I will have bond continued.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Yeah, let's do it. Court does call the case, the people of the state of Michigan versus Santre Scott.
Andrew Chilton, on behalf of the people.
Scott.
Assistant Open under Veteran on that Mr. Scott who is approaching.
I'd say today, 10 separate preliminary examination. The people are prepared to proceed. I will put on the record that I had conveyed an offer prior to the examination that if the defendant were to waive on count or waive as charged, the people would offer a plea to count 1 and dismiss 2 and 3, as well as not file a habitual 4th. In this case, it's my understanding the defendant does not wish to avail himself of that offer.
Is that a correct statement, counsel?
It is correct, Your Honor.
All right, very good.
The people expect to call 3 YPD officers. I'm gonna have Officer Plimalas come up first, and I'll have the other 2 officers excuse themselves, which will be Officer Lundy and Officer Cheese.
Okay, very good. Sir, please come forward and be sworn.
We take a seat, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to the testimony about the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Have a seat. State and spell your first and last name for the record, please.
First name, last name?
Yes.
First name is Zachary, spelled Zachary. Last name is Plymouth, spelled Plymouth.
All right, you may inquire.
Thank you. Officer Plymel, how are you currently employed?
Currently a police officer for the city.
How long have you worked for the City of Ypsilanti Police Department?
Since mid-September, so going on 6 months.
Thank you. Were you working as an officer with the City of Ypsilanti back on January the 23rd of this year, 2025?
Yes, sir.
And were you dispatched in the vicinity of the Ypsilanti Transit Center on Pearl Street in the City of Ypsilanti?
Yes, sir.
What was the nature of that dispatch?
Disorderly conduct complaint.
And do you know who had made that complaint?
One of the security guards at the transit center. I'm not sure if the name.
Okay. And based on that information, what did you do?
The security guards informed us that.
Objection, hearsay.
Your Honor, people are not offering this for the truth and matter asserted, but only to explain what actions this officer took.
Your response to that?
I don't think it's responsive to the question, and I would also say that if it's not offered for the
It's
truth.
being offered for his state of mind, in essence, as to why he did what he did. Objections overruled. You may proceed.
Thank you.
Security guards were complaining of a disorderly person in the transit center refusing to leave. And when he finally did leave, there was a handgun in his waistband, which is why they called the police. After they showed us a picture of the person that they believed had a handgun, and they stated that he was going southbound on Washington, so he spread out, and that's why we left the transit center.
You're using the term we. Who is we?
Me, Officer Plymouth, Officer Lundy was on scene, and our Sergeant Schrammick were on scene at this time.
Okay. So you received this information from the security guard of the transit center. They indicated this individual had proceeded, I think you said southbound.
Southbound on Washington Street.
Okay. And where did you go then?
We split up, and I went southbound on Washington Street with my patrol car.
Okay. And you had seen a photograph of the individual that was, I guess, the suspect or the person of interest?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That picture is back.
Thank you. You headed southbound in Washington. What, if anything, did you observe?
I observed a subject walking northbound on Washington Street that matched the description of the person in the photo.
And what did you do?
I put my car in park and I called on the radio, ordered my location, and then I was going to be making contact with the subject, or he took off on foot through the alley.
So he took off on foot?
Yes, sir.
Prior to him taking off on foot, had you got out of your car or yelled stop police or done anything at all?
No, sir, he was already running before I even got out there.
Okay, so you're southbound on Washington. What direction of travel is he now heading?
He's heading westbound through the alleyway there.
Through the alleyway? Okay. And Washington and approximately cross street, what are we?
Michigan.
Michigan?
Just north of Michigan.
The observations that you made that this individual was heading into the alleyway, what did you do with that information?
I called over the radio that I had a potential subject running westbound through the alleyway. I wasn't able to locate him as I had lost him, but I said he's approximately heading northwest. If you go back to the transit center, you might be able to see him.
Okay. And where did you head next?
Since I didn't have eyes on him on foot, I returned to my patrol car that was parked on Washington Street.
Okay. And where did you travel next?
Officer Lundy at this time went over the radio saying that he had apprehended him at Speedy's Big Burgers right on, I think it's 15 North Adams Street. And that's where I met up with them.
Okay. And you circled around and made contact with Officer Lundy?
Yes, sir.
Okay. At the time you made contact with Officer Lundy, did they have an individual in custody?
Yes, sir.
Do you see that individual in the courtroom here today?
Yes, sir.
Can you identify an article of clothing that he's wearing in court here today? And may the record reflect in court identification of the defendant?
Without objection, the records also reflect.
And the individual that Officer Lundy had in custody, was that the same individual that you saw flee through the alley?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Were you involved at all in the search of his person or anything of that nature?
I did a secondary search when he was moved from patrol car 106 to my car, which is patrol car 119.
Okay,
And I didn't find any additional contraband and officer.
thank you. People have no further questions.
Cross-examination.
Is it okay if we refer to the individual as Mr. Scott? Okay. So did you observe Mr. Scott commit any crimes that day?
Fleeing and eluding as he ran from me.
Fleeing and eluding?
Yes, sir.
So what type of vehicle was he driving?
He was not moving.
Okay. But he was fleeing and eluding?
He was fleeing on foot.
Okay. He's fleeing it. Okay. So that would be more like an R&O? Okay. Did you see him commit any other crimes?
He had possession of a firearm.
He had possession of a firearm? And when did you see him in possession of a firearm?
He was caught on video through the transit center, possession of a firearm. And when Officer Lundy did his initial search after getting him in custody, we found a holster with an officer cheese found this kind of firearm.
And when did you see this video?
The transit center provided us the picture of him when we first got to the transit center. He initially arrived on the call.
And that's the picture in your police report? Okay, and you'd agree with me, there's no firearm visible in that picture, is there?
I disagree. There's a firearm on this.
May I approach the witness with what may become defense exhibit 1?
Sure, but I don't know what I'm going to do with the computer unless we're tagging the whole thing, but go ahead.
Is this the picture we're talking about?
Yes, sir.
And where's the gun?
Right there, left side is what's there.
This.
Oh, yeah.
Not a liquor bottle?
That's not like a bottle. So it's not sure it's like. The liquor bottle is found in his pants. That's in his pants.
Okay, so this right here looks like a gun to you.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor,
Want that marked?
I move to admit this as defense exhibit 1.
Well, I need the picture. I need the photo. Well, yeah, I know. I saw it when I was up here.
Can I print it out between witnesses and provide it to the court?
Sure.
So based on that picture, you believed my client was in possession of a gun?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you say that when he was arrested, he also had liquor bottles on him?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that's admitted as defense 1?
Well, I don't have it yet, but there's not going to be an objection if that's what it is.
No, that's.
All right.
Photograph is.
Once I have the photograph, then I'll admit it.
Okay, I'll provide that to the court. Thank you. No further questions.
I have no redirect.
No redirect? Thank you, sir. You may stay.
People call Officer Lundy.
Sir, please come forward and be sworn.
You can take it, just don't read from it.
We take a seat, raise your right hand. You solemnly swear to affirm the testimony you about to give, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Have a seat. State, spell your first and last name for the record.
On B-A-B-O-N, last name on you, O-N-B-O-N.
May inquire.
Thank you. Sir, how are you currently employed?
Police officer, patrolling unit, so,
How long have you worked with the Ypsilanti Police Department?
uh,
Were you working back on January the 23rd of this year, 2025?
yes,
And were you also involved in a dispatch to the transit center regarding a disorderly person possibly with a firearm?
yes.
Okay, and where did you go based on that information?
Well, I went to the transit center first and then we left. Officer Pymel was there, the male walking Washington Street in Michigan. He didn't advise the male to get a run through towards the transit center. So I drove my patrol vehicle to Adams Street, got in my patrol vehicle, walked eastbound, and I observed, Savion Trey walking.
You observed, I'm sorry, what was that?
He was walking from parking lot.
Okay, in the area that you observed this person, you've identified as Savion Trey, is that individual in the courtroom here today?
Yes.
Can you tell me what he's wearing?
Green North Face jacket or Nike jacket.
Your Honor, may the record reflect in court identification of the defendant?
Without objection, record shall so reflect.
The location that you observed the defendant, was that consistent with the information that had been provided to you by Officer Plymail?
Yes.
Okay. Based on your observations of the defendant walking through the parking lot, what did you do next?
I told him to stop walking, I placed him in handcuffs.
You placed him in handcuffs?
Yes.
Okay. And did you conduct any sort of search of the defendant's person?
Yes.
And where did that occur?
Right in the parking lot of Speedies.
Okay. What, if anything, did you find?
2 bottles of alcohol and a firearm holster.
Firearm holster? Where was the firearm holster?
It was, I believe on his right hip.
Okay.
Yeah, right hip.
Fair to say you didn't find an actual firearm on his person, however.
Correct.
Okay. Based on that information, are you relaying any of this to other Ypsilanti Police Department officers?
Yes.
Okay. Which officers, if you know?
I just let this back when I found the holster.
Okay. Can you describe, Officer Lundy, what were the conditions on this day?
No, it was snow.
Snowy? Okay. And were you aware if there were, was there enough snow that you're leaving footprints, or is it dusting? Can you describe it in any way?
I honestly don't remember.
Okay, that's fair. Did other officers make contact with you once you had the defendant in custody?
Officer Plymail did.
Okay. Did you have any contact with Officer Cheese, or was that subsequent to this?
No, I heard him say that he found the firearm, and I just told him to take pictures of it before he picked it up.
Okay. So you heard that on the radio?
Yes.
Okay. Did you actually see where he found that firearm?
No.
Okay. I have no further questions, Judge. Thank you.
Cross-examination.
Thank you. Good morning, officer. You said you found the holster on which side of him?
I want to say it was this right side.
Okay. And was that inside the pants holster, outside the pants holster, something else?
I want to say it was on his belt, kind of outside-ish, but I'm not really sure. I just know it was on his person. I know it was inside over, so I just observed the holster.
You were able to observe my client before making contact, right?
Correct.
Did you see the holster before you made contact?
No.
Was it fair to say that it was obscured by his overcoat?
Correct.
And it's just like a winter coat, right?
I'm not sure what kind of coat it was. I did like a vest, possibly.
Well, all right. So you don't remember if the holster was on the right or left side? Was that not important to you?
It was clear. I think his testimony was he believes it was on the right.
Okay. And he is wearing a winter coat that covered his waistband area when you arrested him, right?
That's where it goes. That's where it goes.
Okay. Did you see any guns sticking out of his coat pockets or anything like that?
No.
You never saw my client possessing a gun, did you?
No.
Okay. What type of liquor bottles did he have in his possession?
It was like 2 tequila bottles.
Like a full-size fifth or a pint? All right. May I approach the witness?
May
I'm gonna show you what's already been admitted as defense number 1. You recognize this person in that
defense
picture?
it's defense exhibit A.
Hey, okay.
Person, I recognize the outfit.
Sorry?
I recognize the outfit, not the person.
It's not the person?
It looks like he has a mask on.
Okay, so you don't recognize this person whatsoever?
Like I said, I recognize the outfit, the clothing on him, but the face is kind of, I don't know, that's not a clear picture.
Does the clothing match the person you arrested that day?
Yes.
And can you point out to us on here where you believe the holster would have been?
Right here.
Okay, can you put a X and put your initials? Thank you. And are you able to tell what this would be on his left side pocket?
That's an alcohol bottle.
Thank you. I don't have any further questions for this witness.
No redirect.
May step down. Thank you, sir. Recall your next witness.
Officer Cheese.
Sir, please come forward and be sworn.
See, raise your right hand. Solemnly swear to affirm the testimony you're about to give, the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God. Have a seat. State, spell your first and last name for the record.
James, James, Cheese, Cheese.
All right, you may inquire.
Sir, how are you currently employed? How are you currently employed?
With the city of Ypsilanti as a police officer,
How long have you worked as a police officer with the city of Ypsilanti?
a little over a year now.
Okay, were you working back on January the 23rd of this year, 2025?
Yes, sir.
And were you involved in a dispatch to the transit center on Pearl Street in the city of Ypsilanti for a report of a disorderly person, possibly with a firearm?
Yes, sir.
Okay, where did you go when you received that dispatch?
I came down north and parked my vehicle between the dry cleaner on the corner there, so just across the street from the transit center.
Okay. And what, if anything, did you observe when you parked your vehicle?
Pardon?
Did you observe anything when you parked your vehicle initially?
Other than my counterparts in the parking lot, I received radio traffic from our sergeant that he observed the suspect running through the buildings in which my vehicle was parked.
Okay.
And possibly discarded a firearm.
So you were aware, based on the dispatch traffic from your other officers, that the defendant had gone through it like an alleyway? Is that fair to say?
Through the buildings is what I was informed.
Okay. Based on that information, what did you do?
I was going to look for a possible discarded firearm.
Okay. And is that what you actually did?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Where did you go in looking for this firearm?
I went back to my vehicle to, start looking from there, and, when I came toward the parking lot and looked down to my left between I believe the address is 213 Borough and the guardrail right behind that building, I saw a white in color pistol.
A white in color pistol?
Yes, sir.
Do you know what the make of this pistol was?
Once I was able to recover it, it was a Glock 19.
Okay, but it was like painted white? Or did it come like, was it like, you don't normally see white guns, is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you describe, like, was this modified or did it just come that way?
I am not an expert in that, so
Okay, fair. Why did you look in this area for the gun?
Like I said, from the sergeant's information, that was the direction in which he observed the suspect.
Okay. Could you describe what the weather was like on this day?
It was cloudy, but there was snow on the ground.
Okay. Was there anything in and around where you located this Glock in the snow that would indicate anyone had walked by or anything like that?
Yeah, so I did notice, like, because I had never walked past the firearm until, like I said, it was pointed out which the direction that the suspect had possibly ran. But there was a fresh set of footprints, and there was only one set of footprints going through the snow area.
Okay. And was there anything that would make you believe that this Glock had been in that area for some period of time?
No.
Okay. Was there anything covering it, on top of it, anything like that?
No, sir.
Okay. And I'm trying to get the location just so the record is clear. So you come down Adams and so you're referencing the dry cleaner at the corner of Pearl and Adams. It's like Trojan Dry Cleaners. Okay. Where in relation to that did you locate the firearm?
I don't know how exactly to pinpoint it. So if we are facing in the southern direction.
Okay.
Dry cleaners here. There's a big gap in between.
Yep.
The other building.
Okay.
13 Borough.
Yep.
Right behind, in between the vacant space area behind that building, there's a guardrail, and right behind the 213 Borough was the firearm between the guardrail and that building.
So immediately behind 213 Pearl is an open parking lot. Does that sound correct?
There's a guardrail and then the park.
Okay. And the area this was consistent with the information you have been provided with the path of travel of the suspect.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Where was the suspect? Were you aware that the suspect at some point had been apprehended by Officer Lundy?
I was under the impression that he was in custody.
Okay. And do you know where Officer Lundy had contact with him?
No, sir.
Okay, fair. I have no further questions, Judge. Thank you.
All right.
Good morning, officer. Can you tell us how many sets of footprints were in this area?
In which area, sir?
Sorry?
In which area?
In the area that you're describing where you found the gun.
There's like I said, there's a broad area are you saying the exact right next to the firearm or in the area that I was standing?
In the area you're searching.
In the area that I was searching.
Yeah.
There were other footprints, including my own, but there were no footprints other than the one set of footprints next to the firearm.
Okay. And when did it stop snowing?
I could not be able to tell you that, sir.
Okay, so you don't know if these footprints were made the day before, do you? Is that a no?
There was one set of footprints directly next to the firearm.
Right, but you don't know when those footprints were made. Is that fair to say?
I wouldn't be able to tell you that, sir.
Okay, and Would you also not be able to tell us when the firearm was left there?
To say that an officer observed an individual go through the area,
Well, did you observe a person with a gun?
I did not.
Okay, I just want to talk about what you saw.
I only observed the firearm in that area.
And you didn't observe anyone put the firearm there, did you?
That's not my place to say. Only that I located that firearm, sir.
Okay, but do you understand my question?
I do not, sir.
Okay, did you see with your own eyes that firearm placed in that location?
I did not.
Okay. And did you at any time see my client in possession of a firearm?
Are you asking?
I'm asking, did you see with your own eyes this person right here possessing a firearm?
No, sir.
Okay. No further questions.
Any redirect?
No redirect, thank you.
All right, you may step down. Thank you, sir. And I have exhibit A.
Defense has no witnesses.
I didn't address, I was just pointing. Civic.
Any other additional witnesses for the group?
The only thing that people would put on the record, I don't expect that there is an objection. The defendant has a prior conviction for home invasion, 3rd degree out of the 22nd Circuit Court on August the 7th of 2019. He pled guilty. And with that, other than that, unless there's an objection and the defendant doesn't have that prior felony conviction, people would have no further witness.
I think they need a certified copy of that.
Okay, all right.
All right,
Okay, no, that's fine. You want a certified copy? We can, where was the conviction?
22nd Circuit Court.
So we'll have a certified copy here in minutes, counsel, if we want to play that game. That's fine with me. I don't have a problem with that.
We'll
No,
withdraw the
let's not. And while we wait, and I need you to get a copy off of, I need a certified copy of his conviction from Odyssey. We'll get it.
Can I withdraw the objection, Your Honor?
Pardon?
Can I withdraw the objection?
Well, then what? Because you realize you're wasting the time of the court?
I would say in good faith, Your Honor, that works in a lot of courts in southeastern Michigan.
Well, welcome to Washington. What do you want to do? I mean, I will get a certified copy. If that will satisfy you that there was a previous conviction, I will get the copy.
No, I will withdraw it because I know that you can do that. I'm just saying in certain courts, they have to have it here right now. And I understand that's not going to work with Your Honor. So.
Oh, it's not. It never has.
I did not know that though.
Yeah,
So
well,
I mean,
now we all
I'm not
know
trying to.
Every day is something to learn something.
Yes,
now you know
exactly.
that. So are you withdrawing the objection?
I am withdrawing the objection.
Stipulate to the conviction?
I will stipulate to the.
Wonderful. All right.
No further witnesses, the people would rest.
The only thing I'm going to ask before I ask for argument on bind over, and we don't need to do it, is where's the one that the officer drew on? You asked the officer to mark something.
Oh, yes.
And I think it was defendant's exhibit A.
Yes.
But this doesn't appear to have a marking.
Can I approach the bench? I think I can see it. Barely see it. I get that it's hard to see, but.
I see. All right. Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. You heard testimony from 3 separate Ypsilanti Police Department Officer Plymale, who testified first, received information about a disorderly person possibly with a gun at the transit center. He was in the vicinity of Washington and Pearl Street, observed an individual, I believe he testified heading southbound on Washington, in that area consistent with the description given to him by the transit center. And he testified that he had seen that photograph. In an attempt to stop that individual, they then fled kind of back northwest through this parking lot back in the vicinity of the transit center. Officer Lundy testified that he had subsequently apprehended defendant who identified back up Washington. It's a little confusing, but kind of back up towards the transit center. When he arrested the defendant, Officer Lundy testified that he recovered a holster to a firearm, but no firearm on the defendant's person. And finally, you heard from Officer Cheese, who testified that in the area just south of Pearl Street, and it would be just east of Adams. So you have Pearl Street, Washington, Adams, and kind of a block there. Behind, just south of Pearl Street, behind 213 Pearl Street, right in there, he found a white Glock 19 that had appeared to have there was nothing to indicate that gun had been there for any prolonged period of time, with a single set of footprints in the area in the snow. Obviously, this is a circumstantial case. There's no single witness that observed the defendant in possession of the firearm, but I believe that based on the testimony of the 3 witnesses, there's sufficient evidence to a probable cause standard to establish the defendant was in possession of this firearm at the time, and prior conviction for home invasion, it would be ineligible to possess that. People would find the defendant over on the 3 counts before the court.
Response.
Your Honor, the defense objects to the bind over on all 3 counts. As to count 1, no one testified the gun was ever concealed. The testimony was that from the first witness was that the thing that's a liquor bottle, as identified by the second witness, was a gun. And you can tell by looking at the picture, it's a liquor bottle, it's not a gun. And if it was a gun, it wouldn't be concealed. So the only witness to ever say anything about my client with a gun said he could see it, and that would negate the concealed element of that charge. So we'd ask the court to dismiss that. Count 2, firearms possession. This is simply possession. We stipulated to the prior. Your Honor, there's no evidence that he possessed a gun. The first witness said you can see it in the picture. The defense absolutely objects to that, and the second witness agreed with the defense position. You can't see a gun because there is no gun. And then there was perhaps a bit of hearsay, but the court, of course, heard Mr. Childers say it wasn't offered for the truth of the matter, so the court should not use that for the truth of the matter. Cannot be used as substantive evidence against my client. So there's absolutely no evidence that he ever possessed a firearm. Count 3, no one even mentioned ammunition.
But aren't those questions of fact as to whether or not, given all of the testimony, as to whether or not he possessed it?
I don't think it's a question of fact. They didn't even say it. I mean,
They didn't even say what?
The testimony that he had possession of the gun was that in the picture, you can see the gun. And that witness identified what is obviously a liquor bottle.
No, go ahead.
That was the testimony from the first witness. He said, he repeated the hearsay, and it was offered not for the truth of the matter asserted.
I know, it was I heard the objection.
Okay, so he ran, the evidence is, they're called for a disorderly person. He runs away. He's in possession of liquor. He's running because he has open containers of liquor. They're going to say he's running for whatever other reason. They arrest the person with a holster. They don't have fingerprints. They don't have DNA. They don't have surveillance video. They don't have a witness that credibly says he had a gun. That people's first witness said you can see the gun in his pocket, and he's talking about the liquor bottle. So, Your Honor, there's simply no evidence that
the officer's state of mind based upon the call is that there's an individual, and that individual has a weapon, has a firearm, right? They find the individual as described. His path is traced. On his person, there is a holster, and upon his path being traced, there's a Glock 19. Tell me why that doesn't create issues of fact as to all 3 counts.
Because the call is not admissible to prove the truth of the matter. They can use that call to show the officer's actions, okay? And the officers took actions that were reasonable based on the information they received. But the people admitted that call, not for the truth of the matter asserted, but for the effect on the listener.
Take that out. right? They get this call,
Yes.
right? The truth of the matter as to whether or not he had a gun, I can't accept. But the very fact of everything that happens afterwards, doesn't that create an issue of fact as to whether or not he had the gun on his person and it was concealed?
No,
Okay.
I mean, they didn't have.
I don't know what, I don't even know how you get there, counsel. I just don't. But okay, you answered my question.
Okay, well, I'd still ask the court to dismiss count three because there is no testimony of any ammunition. And I mean, the count one, if the court is relying on this testimony, the gun wasn't concealed because they said they saw it. They said they saw the gun, which means it's not concealed. So I understand the court's position on count two.
You really don't, but go ahead.
Well, I'm attempting to understand the court's position on count two, that he was in possession, but the whole way that they get to count two is people seeing it, which means there's no count one. And not a single person mentioned ammunition, which is count three.
Any response from the
No.
the court in listening to all of testimony, and granted, it is indeed a circumstantial case. The testimony, and counsel seems a bit confused because I'm not taking it as substantive testimony that he had that gun. It was what the officers did afterwards. There's a clear dividing line on that. And if you do the analysis, then it's what the officers do afterwards that leads to what happens. And so when that occurs, they're investigating this person. This person is fleeing from them, or at least resisting the officer's attempt to stop him. He travels a certain path. They travel, ultimately, they search that same path. There is a weapon found. There's a holster on him. As to whether or not it was ultimately concealed, it's a question of fact. As to whether or not he was in possession of it, counsel, you make great arguments, but they're arguments for trial. They're not arguments for this type of proceeding. And I think that there's sufficient evidence, certainly to bind a defendant over on counts 1 and 2. I would agree with defense that there is not sufficient evidence as to the ammunition because there was no testimony. So defendant is bound over to stand trial on counts 1 and 2. As to we've got to deal with your community corrections, but before we do the circuit court arraignment, have you seen this progress report?
I have, and I have discussed it with my client, Your Honor.
And Mr. Allen?
Well, our position would be that he did have a card. It's now expired. He's in the process of renewing the card. I would also state, I think.
Well, but hold it. They asked him. Well, let's get this.
If
Pardon?
using prior to being placed on bond with those conditions. So we would ask the court for an opportunity for him to present a renewed card to the circuit court. I would also indicate this case doesn't involve marijuana. Marijuana is now legal, so certainly the court has the discretion to impose that bond condition. But given, this isn't a marijuana.
What is his bond condition?
I believe it's no marijuana.
Thank you.
Right. So, Your Honor, we'd ask for the opportunity for him to renew his card, which he is in the process of doing.
He was supposed to take another test and he missed his test.
I looked at that, and does it look like there's no date? It was unclear to me what was missed.
Did he take his last test?
Last test? It says no.
Yeah, he missed it.
Can he speak on only the issue of the testing? Don't say anything about the case.
So the lady that included the correction, she told me if I didn't have the money, I didn't have the money to text her, and I text her. I got the trailer, a little bit of stuff. Called her. I told her I can't make it today. I don't got the money. She like whenever she said I called, I hit one time, and I didn't have money to go to the truck. I didn't have, so she told me to stay home, and so I let her know. So that's what that was.
He doesn't have a current card.
He had a card. It's expired in 2024.
I know he had a card, but he doesn't have a current card. Correct?
Right.
They advised him that he was instructed not to use and continue any use, correct?
Your Honor, I would just indicate, I don't think those.
Want to answer my question first or no? They told him not to use in February, right? Until he got a card.
Right.
And he's not presenting.
I don't dispute that. I would say, Your Honor, he asked for 30 days for his system to clear out. It's not clear that these tests indicate use while on bond. I mean, this offense date is January 23rd, so I think he's, placed on bond February 24th. I don't see any failed tests within 30 days.
They want me to get levels.
We would just ask the court to.
Really want me to get levels.
Well, I think I made my arguments, so.
So I'll take that as a no.
Correct.
Before I deal with the ultimate issue of bond on this, you waive formal reading of the complaint of the information.
Yes, and stand mute.
Defendant waives formal reading, standing mute. Counts 1 and 2. Court will enter a not guilty plea. Pretrial will be set for
April 24th at 1:30 before Judge Slay.
April 24th, 2025, 1:30 before Judge Slay. Defendant needs to follow the conditions of his bond. He's not supposed to be using. I know why you don't want that. So at this time, I'm going to revoke the defendant's bond. Defendant's remanded.
Cross off count 3 on the information and sign it. I will also prepare an amended information.
All right, that'll work. Hey, who's next? Thank you. Melvin Langston. Oh, there he is.
Does the court still have the exhibit?
Yes.
May I retrieve that?
It's in the file. They can.
Right, I can talk. Oh, okay. Your Honor, may I approach the plea form?
Oh. It's not a waiver?
No, we've worked out a misdemeanor plea on Mr. Langston.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh. Mr. Dox had me send it up on a phone. All right, anyway. Right. Court does call the case of the people versus Langston.
Andrew still lives here on behalf of the.
And good morning, Your Honor, and your staff, Attorney Quentin Dox. On behalf of my client, Mr. Langston, please state your full name for the record.
Has he, let me just make sure we got everything here. Oh, he did execute it. Okay. The plea form before before the court indicates that the defendant will be pleading to the charge of improper possession of a firearm in a motor vehicle, a 90-day offense. Upon a successful guilty plea to that charge, counts 1 and 2 would be dismissed. There's also an agreement to no objection to HIDA. That's the court's full understanding of the agreement.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
Okay. All right. May I have him sworn?
Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Name.
All right. Sir, it is this court's understanding that you are going to be pleading guilty to the charge of improper possession of a firearm in a motor vehicle. Now, that's a misdemeanor. It is punishable by up to 90 days in jail, a $100 fine plus court costs, and mandatory forfeiture of the weapon or device. You understand that, sir?
Yes.
All right. You also understand that while I'm taking your plea, I would not be your sentencing judge, and you would be sentenced before Judge Barr in the 1482 District Court. All right. Now, understanding all of that, do you still wish to plead guilty?
Yes.
And to that charge, how do you plead?
Yes.
Now, you understand that by pleading guilty, you'll not have a trial of any kind.
Yes.
All right. You signed an advice of rights for today. Is that correct?
Yes.
Any question regarding any of those rights?
No.
Please look at paragraph 5. You'll see a copy on the podium. Those are your rights, which are part of a trial. You understand that by pleading guilty, you'll be giving up those rights as well as all the rights on that form.
Right.
You understand you're giving up your right to appeal of right?
Yes.
Are you on probation or parole?
No.
Has anybody promised you anything other than what's been stated here today on the record to get you to plea?
No.
Anybody threaten you or coerce you?
No.
You're doing this voluntarily?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Yes.
And of your own free will?
Yes.
Where's my... All right, sir, on the date of January 27, 2024, at MacArthur Boulevard near Wire, Sperry Township, Washington County, State of Michigan. Were you in a motor vehicle?
Say it again.
Were you in a motor vehicle?
Yes.
All right. Did you have a weapon in your possession?
Yes.
All right. Do you have authority? And it was in that vehicle?
Yes.
Where was it in the vehicle?
Huh?
Where was it in the vehicle?
My possession.
Okay. Did you have it on your person?
Yes.
Okay. And you don't have any authority to carry a weapon in that fashion in that vehicle, do you?
No.
All right. Counsel, have I complied with the court rule? Would it be proper to accept the defendant's plea?
People are satisfied, Your Honor.
Satisfied, Your Honor.
All right. Court will accept the defendant's plea to count 3. Counts 1 and 2 are dismissed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Pre-sentence investigation and report is ordered at 1482 probation.
Okay.
Sentencing in this matter will be
April 1st at 10 a.m. before the bar.
April 1st, 2025, 10 a.m.
Yes.
10 a.m. before Judge Barr. Bond will continue.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. You know, when you say that, you should pause and then say, well, all right, I'm ready. Great, man.
I believe, but no, it's not.
We don't have one?
And it's. Yes, yeah. I don't feel like definitely background.
The interpreter is signing it.
Okay. You got him coming in. You can sort it.
Good afternoon, David. You're in front of the Honorable Judge Simpson out of the 14th District Court, Washington County, State of Michigan. We need your assistance with one case today. When you need a moment, can you please unmute? Our number is 1423.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm David with Language Line Solutions, 352578.
Thank you, sir. Can you please raise your right hand to be sworn? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will interpret accurately, completely, and impartially, using your best skill and judgment, and to translate from English into Spanish and Spanish into English in the manner not before the court, so help you God?
Yes, I swear.
All right. Good afternoon, David.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Court does call the case of the people of the state of Michigan versus Marco Alaman Garcia.
Se llama el caso del estado de Michigan contra Marco Alemán García.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Marie Tanhoff for the people.
And good
Hola,
afternoon, Lord Yagi. Oh,
Go ahead,
que
David.
por parte de las personas.
Lord Yagi, Assistant Public Defender, with and on behalf of Mr. Alvin Garcia.
Que Lori Gaggi, la asistente de defensor público, representando al señor Marco.
Go ahead, Ms. Yagi.
Your Honor, at this point, I would move to withdraw from representing Mr. Alvin Garcia due to conflict within our office.
Ok, su señoría, en estos momentos yo quisiera estarme retirando de la representación que tengo por parte para el señor Alemán García debido a un conflicto que hubo en nuestra oficina.
I have spoken with Mr. Alvin Garcia 3 times now, and I have, he has expressed to me his ongoing distrust with our office based on specific instances.
Entonces ya hablé con el señor Alemán García 3 veces y me ha expresado que continúa la perturbación que tiene con algunas ciertas instancias con nuestra oficina.
And I have discussed those instances and the situation with the supervisor, and at this point, I would move to withdraw.
Ya discutí con nuestro supervisor esas instancias específicas y a estas alturas me estaría yo retirando.
Mr. Alaman Garcia, do you wish the public defender's office to withdraw?
Señor Alemán García, ¿usted desea entonces que se esté retirando su defensora pública?
Sí.
Yes, Your Honor.
Hearing no objection, the public defender's office the court will execute the order to have the public defender's office withdraw. Mr. Alaman Garcia, are you hiring another attorney or have you hired another attorney?
Entonces, viendo que no hay objeción alguna, la Corte procede a ejecutar la orden para que se pueda estar retirando al defensor público que tiene asignado. Señor Alemán García, ahorita, ¿está usted contratando a otro abogado o ya contrató otro abogado?
¿Estamos contratando otro abogado?
I am hiring another attorney.
You do not have another attorney as of right now. Is that correct, sir?
Pero ahorita en este momento, señor, todavía no tiene un abogado, ¿correcto?
Sí, tengo ya uno.
Yes, I have one.
You do have another attorney?
Entonces, sí tiene otro abogado. Yes.
Have they filed an appearance?
¿Y ya metieron su presentación con la corte?
No sabría decirle, no he hablado con él.
I wouldn't know. I haven't talked to him.
You have not talked to him?
¿No ha hablado con él?
No, por ahora no, todavía no.
No, Your Honor, not for now.
All right, what the court's going to do is I'm going to appoint counsel to represent you, not affiliated with the public defender's office.
Entonces, lo que la corte va a estar haciendo ahorita, se le va a estar asignando a alguien que le pueda estar abogando por usted, que no tenga afiliación alguna con la oficina del defensor público.
If your attorney wishes to continue to represent you, the one that you say you've hired, they need to contact Ms. Constantino and file what's called a substitution of attorney.
Entonces, si el abogado que menciona usted que contrató quiere continuar representándolo, entonces necesita ponerse en contacto con la señorita Constantino y meter un documento que se llama sustitución de abogado.
That way, if something falls through with the attorney you say you've hired but not talked to, you will have an attorney.
Para que en esa instancia, si algo llegara a suceder, que si dice que tiene ya un abogado que ya contrató pero que no ha hablado, entonces por lo menos mientras tiene un abogado.
Do you understand that, sir?
¿Entiende eso, señor?
Sí.
Yes.
the court is awaiting the order, but the MAC office has appointed Ms. Constantino to represent this defendant.
Entonces, la corte, por mientras, está apuntando a la señorita Constantino para que pueda estarnos apoyando, para que pueda estar representando al acusado.
Given that, Your Honor, Christina Constantino appearing on behalf of the defendant.
Cristina Constantino, su señoría, apareciendo, presentándome ante la corte en representación del acusado.
So that counsel can talk to you and prepare for the case, I will adjourn your preliminary examination to April 29th, 2025 at 9 a.m. That is the earliest date upon which all parties could be present for prelim.
Entonces, para que tenga tiempo suficiente para poder consultar con el abogado y prepararse para el caso, se estaría aplazando la examinación preliminar para el 29 de abril a las 9 de la mañana, que es lo más próximo que se puede estar haciendo para que las partes estén presentes.
Defendant's bond will continue.
La fianza para el acusado continúa.
Anything else from anyone?
¿Algo más por parte de alguien?
Judge, if I could I just ask the interpreter to let my new client know that I will be meeting with him at the jail later this week?
Le pido a su señoría que me deje decirle a su cliente que ahorita se va a estar viendo con él ahí en la cárcel más adelante durante la semana.
Ok, está bien.
Sounds good.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Ms. Constantino.
Thank you,
Muchas
Judge.
gracias a todos.
Thank you, David. Always a pleasure, sir.
It is a pleasure to help you, Your Honor. Thank you for your services. Bye-bye for now.